lovely writers, and welcome to another Writerly Wednesday. Today's is going to be rather short, and it's either an introduction or, if you've been around me for a little while, a reintroduction into one of my top tips, one of the pillars on which I lay the foundation for helping people reach greater creative flow. And that is to make friends with your internal editor. Now, if you haven't heard of this concept before, maybe you don't even know what the heck I'm talking about, in which case I want you to recognize that when I say internal editor, I'm referring to that inner critical voice that always comes up. Some people call it the mean girl voice, others call it the ego, the conscious mind, fear, whatever you call it. The fact is that it manifests in the same way. It stops you from either taking action or creating maximum flow in your writing. Why? Because most of the time we go one of two directions when we hear that voice come up. The first direction that some of us have learned, and if you are a freelance writer or a journalist working on tight deadlines, it's really served you. And that means when the voice comes up telling you something is wrong, you take action straight away, you spend your time, you edit as you go, essentially. The other approach that a lot of people have given advice to and try to take is something like smack it in the face or put it in the back seat or don't listen to it and persevere anyway. And I found that, in fact, that's another false lead. That will stymie your flow just as editing as you go will stymie it. So what do you do instead? You make friends with that voice. Step one, listen to it. And at first, this might extend the amount of time that you're taking for your creative writing or whatever else you're doing. But in the long run, getting into this process will really shorten the time that you're stepping away mentally or emotionally from your writing to listen to the voice, take note if needed, and then say to the voice, thank you so much for that. I've got that. I'm going to move forward anyway. And that means we don't correct the typo. We don't wait until we figured out the perfect word. We do not go immediately to thesaurus.com and find the real word that we were looking for. We don't fix the awkward sentence. We do not polish to the nth degree that paragraph that we were working on. We listen to the voice. Maybe it's even just said, why are you writing? Who's going to read this? Thank you so much. I heard what you're saying. I'm going to move forward anyway. And you keep going. Eventually, this will become almost a seamless process where you're taking notice of what that internal editor is feeding you. You're writing it down, or you're saying, you know what? I know it's just trying to keep me safe, but I'm going to go forward anyway. And eventually you're moving back and forth. You are now like water. There is a rock in front of you, and instead of letting it stop you, you simply move around it. It's still there. You've still heard it, but you're not letting it stop you from continuing whatever it is you want to do. That is my top tip for this Writerly Wednesday. Of course, I would love to hear from you. Have you heard this process before, through me or from somebody else potentially? And has it changed your writing practice? Do you find yourself getting into flow more easily once you've made friends with that internal editor? Or maybe you found another trick or another way to communicate with that critical voice that's let you access your creative flow even more than before. If that's the case, I would love to hear it as well. Until next time, I'll see you for the next Writerly Wednesday. Bye.